Welcome everyone. Today we have a Dota Underlord guide. This is a Savage build guide, and this has been one of the strongest builds in ranking up in the current meta. I have been testing this build since the latest patch on the 24th of July, and our Lord account went from 200 plus ranking to world top 16 with this build. So, to start the build, the core concept is that there are 3 Savages at tier 1, and 2 Warlocks with Venomancer can easily be one of the dominating force of healing and sustain. Tooth and Claw can be found starting at tier 1 with item loops, and even a 1-star Tooth and Claw with 7 seconds of the infinite stacking bleeding can really dominate the early game with 2 or more Savages, and we can snowball with saving, rolling for 3 stars, or building up a strong lineup and aggressively leveling to defeat players quicker. We have 2 options in this build. We'll refer them back to option 1 and option 2. The number 1 option is to roll for 3-star units while we're at level 7 and level 8. We're looking for 3-star Venomancer, Druids, or even Lycan, or even tier 4 units as well. So the idea is that while we're ahead with our units, we started rolling, and this power boosts up into the late game with those 3-star units. The second option is to save up and go aggressive spending strategy. This works well in securing top 4 positioning, which will be very crucial in the upcoming ranking changes. You will punish greedy players who are rolling for 3 stars if they can't find the 3 stars, and also will finish the game so much more faster, because before round 21, by round 21 we're level 9, by round 26 we're level 10, and we go further. We can pick Vicious Intent, we can pick units and synergies that balance as well, and we try to finish the game before round 35. Let's look at the early game. The early game goes from round 1 to 13. Here we'll be focusing on the Savages, which can be 2, 4. It's likely we won't find 6 Savages, but it can happen. We can have the Warlocks, Druids, Heartless, Warriors, and Hunters are the starting alliance we can look into. The key here is to have a bit of the units combination, which can be great with 2 Savages and Warlocks, or maybe with Druids. The healing power of those are very strong, especially before round 10, and we often see teams runs a Shadow Thing with a Venomancer, or a team runs any build with Warlocks can be strong. The Savages really excel with Heartless as well, because it minus armor, which amplifies the physical damage we deal with the buffs of Savages. Now we still want to build 3 warriors if possible, because they are the solid frontliners. By building 3 warriors, we can build other alliances from above as well. When we look into leveling up, we have 2 options. With option 1, we want to stay on lower levels because most of the 1-star tier 1 units like Venomancer, Enchantress and Tusk is offered at higher rates as the lower level we are. So as we increase in leveling, we actually reduce the rates of finding those units. We want to level up to 6 after round 10 if it is going to add towards alliance synergy. For example, we can find a Warlock synergy, we can find a Heartless, maybe a Warrior synergy, and this is when it's super effective. We still want to add them to have HP protection, because more synergy, alliance and maybe 2 stars will help us to lose less HP. It will be very crucial to be after round 10 to be losing less HP. On strategy 2, where we go aggressive spending, we use the same consideration as above, but we favor on saving up. We want to maximize as much as possible, having multiples of 10 gold at the start of the round. So we can be selling no core units that's not a Savage in order to save up, because we planned to start leveling at round 16 and 17 to level 7 and level 8. The key units for the early game are Venomancer plus another Warlock or Savage, 2-star Enchantress or maybe 2-star Druids together. We can have Tusk, Lycan and Shadow Thing at 1-star to complete an alliance, which is the Warlocks or the Savages. 2-star units for transitional purpose can be Tiny, Mr. Warlock with Ogre, or maybe just with 2-star Warlock with the Venomancer, Witch Doctor as a Warlock, Jaw Ranger with Heartless, Queen of Pain just as an Assassin, Timbersaw for the tank, Furion for the Druids, and Beastmaster just for a bit of AoE damage. But ideally, we don't need 2-star Beastmaster because he sells for less. Keep that in mind, 2-star Beastmaster, Queen of Pain and Timbersaw will sell for 2 gold less over here. Witch Doctor can be used for late game, while the Tiny and Warlock sells for the same price because they're tier 1 units. For the round 1 to 4, I tend to prioritize on Venomancer and Enchantress of all because the Druids can be a power spike while Venom is a Savage and a Warlock. Then we follow by Tusk and Tiny, both of the front lines, and they fit into the Warriors. Witch Doctor and Furion opens up the Warlock and Druids with the above 2 units, and everything that was listed above over here can be added as we find them. After round 4, we want to collect key pairs for the above alliance, and depending which alliance finds the 2-star first, we build into that alliance. We do want to position into the corner, so most of the time we don't do much AoE damage because we're more physical lineup with Savages. Having 2-star Venom, we want to protect it as much as we can. Let's look at the items we can pick from. This can be the Embarrassment, Gloss of Haste, Summoning Stone, Forefront Grace, Blink Dagger, Octane Essence, Smuggler, and Brush of Aggressor. Those 3 above items are explained in the Hunter's Guide, so if you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out. For the Gloss of Haste, because Venom is a range unit, and also increased attack speed, increases mana gain, with Savage buffs, means more damage that is buffed that's dished out to the enemy. Summoning Stone is one of the best items for this Zoo build, because of the Savage and Zoo that we summon the Venomancer, with Venomancer, Lycan, and Furion, and also Lone Druid after. The Brooch can be used on Venomancer or one of the Druids, for more Druid summoning with Furion, quicker healing with Enchantress, or maybe you can use on a mage unit later in the game, so this can be quite useful, like Disruptor. For the Alliance item, we're looking for the Tooth and Claw, Completing the Cycle, Soul Sucking Siphon, and Unstoppable. This is one of the most OP and broken item, which is Tooth and Claw, because of the amount of bleeding it stacks and how much Savages are available for us in the early game. And Lycan Wolves and Venomancer also stacks those damage. So if you think 7 damage, each time you attack, you do 7 additional damage. For any friends who has played Dota 2 with Ursa Warrior, this is pretty much Ursa Warrior's passive for all the Savages. That's why it's so strong. Complete the Cycle. This item is great at 2-star plus, and I might try 4 Druids because of this item. For other cases, I might just use it for early healing and transition out of Druids. Most of the time, I'll go with 2 Druids with Lone Druid and Enchantress. And because of that, I don't need the Furion and the Treant, because they're still elves, or they're still elusives, and they don't contribute much to the late game. With the Soul Sucking Siphon, the Warlock should be placed in the middle. This can be wonderfully strong if we find a 2 or 3-star Coordinate Assault with a Witch Doctor. Not only he's a Warlock, he's a Troll cheerleader that gives the entire team great attack speed, so Witch Doctor can definitely work in the late game. We can also have the Unstoppable for 3 Warriors, and our tanks gets tankier, more summons and more units are produced. We win a sustained fight, we lose a burst fight against mages. The advantage of this build is that it is great strength in the early game, and the range of alliance and combos are cheap to be found at 2 or 3 units, and this gives us a victory in the early game, which can snowball further. The disadvantage is that if we don't find enough 2-stars or our Druids, we can fall off late game, because without the Tooth and Claw or without 3-star units, we don't have the best early game. As an early game strategy build, we will fall off in the late game as well. But ideally, we should be able to find enough Savages, but if we don't, we have the Hunter Guide as a backup. Later on, we have the Old Mage and Warlock Guide, which will be transitioning into the Scrappy Guide as well. Below are some of the choices. We had more choices here for the early game, so 3 choices of variation at level 5 and 3 variation at level 6. In this first variation, we have the 4 Savages and 2 Druids. The highlight here is the Lycans to protect against assassins. We're in a corner, if anyone jumps first, we can focus down that unit. The Tusk is the main tank, while Venomancer is the key to be protected. We're looking for those 3 items, and the priority will be Tooth and Claw and Summoning Stone. In the second variation, we have 2 Savages, 2 Warlock, and 2 Bloodbond. This is the case when we find 2-star Ogre and 2-star Warlock. One of them can do, while both of them can be quite good before round 10. The Bloodbond Savage Warlock are very good in terms of sustain because of the heal, because of the attack speed from Ogre, and also the Warlock and Ogre can be sold for full price because they're tier 1 units. So this is definitely something we transition further into the game, maybe with warriors and maybe with more warlocks. We can sell the ogre and Mr. Warlock after. On this variation, we're looking at 3 warriors, savages and warlocks. This is a traditional startup before we hit level 9 or even go further. The warriors are great tanks. The warlock or Witch Doctor can be replaced by something else, maybe a Shadow Thing, maybe a Mr. Warlock, but ideally you want a higher warlock. The warriors can also be replaced with Juggernaut and Axe, or maybe Tusk with something else. But we do want the savages, but they're necessary because they only have 10% attack damage boost. It is nicer to have it with Tooth and Claw over here because each savage will do more damage. We're looking at 6 units now. This is after level 9. Here we have the warriors to tank, the warlock for sustain, savages and heartless for more damage. The Draw Ranger is in the center to buff us with attack speed, and Venomancer is again protected. Tusk protect us against the assassins, and this is one of the most effective lineup. We can remove the Draw Ranger for something else and remove the Patch for something else if we don't have the heartless. Over here, we can even curve into hunters without a lot of the savage units found. Here we keeping the Patch with Draw. Patch is the main tank. The hunters comes from the Draw Ranger, Beastmaster and Lycan, and plus with Venom, having the savage and hunters and heartless allowed Lycan to be one of the strongest damage dealer, especially at 2-star. His wolves will do double attack, and with any form of global item, he can dish out so much damage. His wolves also works with the hunter's focus as well. But if that's the case, if we go deeper into the hunters, we can go into 2 savages and 6 hunters later in game. On this variation, we have 4 savages, 2 warlocks, 2 druids and 1 demon. This is one of the ideal runs. This is one of the ideal formations we can have in early game after level 9. Having this formation gives us so much sustain from the druids and the warlocks, enough damage with the savages, with 4 of them, and also shadowing with AoE and single target damage. So this is one of my ideal comp, especially with Enchantress and Furin, 1 or 2 at 2-star. If both are 1-star, those 2 can be replaced with warriors. Let's look at the mid game. Mid-game starts at round 14 or 13 even for me, and goes up to round 21 to 25 for me. So for those that haven't seen the savings and spending tips in the Hunter's Guide, definitely have a quick look on it, because this is the major focus which explains for option 2, which is the save aggressively and spend aggressively. We'll be focusing on option 2, which is the spending to roll for mass 3 stars at level 7 and level 8. Likely we'll reach level 7 by round 17. We want to spend the gold above 50. Unless HP is below about 40 or 45%, we are not close to any of the 3 stars, then we can consider the option 1. Because at that time, if you're not close to 3 stars and you're too low HP, if you start rolling and you miss, you lose the game. But if you're aggressive level, then you start rolling, you have a small chance of coming back with a top tier 4 and tier 5 pickup. It can be a Disruptor 2-star, Necromancer, Lich, Gyrocopter, or even Medusa and the Trolls. I'll be attaching a replay of this particular formation and this kind of comeback with us in the end of this guide as well. We'll be rolling for no more than 3-star units at a time. This is the reason because we're limited to 8 bench space and there's only 25 seconds in the preparation per round. We might need more space for higher tier units to 2-star. We might have 1-star Lone Druid needing to be finding a 2-star. We might have Lycan that's not yet 2-star. We might have units we're looking for like Sand King as well. So looking for more than 3 stars can work at times, but other times it clump up the bench and it gets very troublesome. We might be stuck with multiple 2 stars on the bench and this gold is not earning interest. But only looking for 3 or less 3 stars, this can be much beneficial and allow us to have more bench space. We can look for more after finding the initial 3 stars. We'll be aiming for Venomancer, Enchantress as one of the first 3 stars. They are the cheapest and most impactful. Venomancer will summon 3 wards, while Enchantress will buff another Druid to 3-star, likely to be the Lone Druid. The decision whether to roll at level 7 versus level 8. I tend to roll a level 7 if there's no great alliance synergies I can add to the team if I were to level up. I would like to roll a level 8 for the additional synergies, including another stack of Savage, a Scaled, maybe a Heartless. Keep in mind for the Scaled, we rarely have that unless there's a massive mage already at round 17 to 25. Usually we like to have Heartless because it works well with Savage. The Druids can work because they are power spike by getting additional star level, whereas the Great Tanks, Warlocks and Hunters can work. So if you look at this, you're like, hey, it looks like you're likely to be rolling at level 8. Yes, that's most of the case, but cases I roll level 7 is when I'm super close to a 3-star for the 1-cost unit, like Venomancer and Enchantress. In terms of preference between option 1 versus option 2, we can use some of the indicators for those options. Keep in mind, option 1 is to roll for 3-star units, option 2 is to be looking to be power leveling. We want to be level 9 and round 21, we want to even go to level 10 and round 26. If we're close to 3 stars, we would go option 1, but we'll still go to level 8 around round 21 or round 26 the latest, and level 9 at round 26 or 31 the latest. This is to ensure that while we're rolling, we're not terribly behind with our lines and combinations, and we're adding 2-star units from the bench onto the field to protect HP and to allow us to have a chance of winning while rolling for 3 stars. If I have Recruiter, likely I go with option 1 because rolling is 1 gold and you really want to roll for your 3 stars for the Druids. Having Tooth and Claw or Vicious Intent, or maybe even both, I like to go with option 2 because more units, more bleeding, and more units, more summoning. And this really